All right, all right, all right. Welcome, loyal listeners, to another episode of Agency Intelligence Podcast, where I give you a real agent inside a real agency, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass, and today I am with Miss Kautz. She is here from the great state of Oklahoma. I love people from Oklahoma. Now, you know right now, loyal listeners, if you're listening to this, you're just thinking to yourself, I don't know many people from Oklahoma. But the ones that I do know from Oklahoma are damn good people, like my boy Ryan Smith out there, you know, toot, toot, toot. And what's her name? That's the young agent chair, Shayna, or Cheyenne.
Shania.
Shania
Slavic.
How should I forget that? It's Shania Twain, right? That's the only person.
Yeah.
The only person I've ever met that had that. How did I forget that?
She is the one that keeps us in order. And so the chair, we're actually letting Ryan Smith be our chair this year.
Wow. Well, I don't know how smart that is. But, no, Ryan's doing great out there, kicking butt out there on the protege. I can't wait to see how good he does. Little listeners, welcome to another episode. Greatly do appreciate it. I reached out to Krista. I saw that she had won an award. What award is that, Krista, that you won?
The Oklahoma Next Gen Under 30.
Under 30. And because she's a lady, to be a nice gentleman, I can't ask her how old she is. Now, if she wants to volunteer that information, but my grandma would get pissed at me if I asked her how old she was. So anyways, no, Krista, I greatly appreciate you coming on. I know how important it is to win those awards. Like, you don't just win them. You actually have to do things, and you actually have to be a professional in what you do. So congratulations to you on behalf of me and the loyal listeners. We say congratulations.
Thank you. It was, we did have an application process. So you get nominated and then you have to submit basically a survey of sorts of, or not survey, but basically, why do you deserve this? Why do you deserve this award? What do you do in your community? What do you do within your industry? And that was, at first, it was really hard and awkward to talk about myself. And I'm like, what do I do? I don't know. But then, don't tell my agency that. No,
I know what you're saying. No, I know exactly.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's weird. It feels like you're being put on the spot. And it was something I was not, I'm just not used to.
You know why it's hard, though? You know why it's hard, Krista? When you say that, you know, like when you say, what do I do? That actually comes from the fact that you don't have a job. That comes from the fact that you love what you do so much. It's just like, this is what I do, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, like if someone said, well, how do you parent? I'm a parent. Okay. Yeah. So if someone asked me that, I'd be like, well, I just, I parent, right? But it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. You don't know. So that's good that you would say that.
Yeah.
That, I've got a young guy in my office, got a couple of them, and one of them said the other day he got his buddy hired at our office, and he told him, he said, I saw him working at State Farm and realized that he had a job, and I told him, ever since I've been here, I've never worked a day in my life, and you should come work here, and that's how we got him, and sounds probably familiar with what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, it's very similar, and my agency owners really support my involvement and the Oklahoma Young Agents. I am actually the vice chair currently, so I will be the chair next year, starting in July, and so next conference is mine. And so,
good for you.
So I get to follow in Ryan Smith's footsteps.
Well, then it'll be pretty easy then, because he'll leave you, right? You know.
Yeah.
And you feel like don't feel like you have to go bigger and bigger. You know him. He's quiet. He's gonna like bring out the cello or something.
You don't know us. You don't know our dynamic. He is anything but quiet with me. We definitely have, the best way I would explain it would be brother-sister conversations. We're always giving each other a hard time, and we're holding each other accountable. And it's a really cool relationship to have, even though, you know, we're competitors. And so it's even better.
It's so good. And you know, it's cool to have somebody that you can compete with and be in the same level, right? It's because Ryan, his dad owns it, whoever, but he's still at the same level as you. He's still out there producing. He's got to work for a paycheck, you know?
I was surprised.
That's the benefit of these young groups, though.
Yes.
You guys are all in the similar thing. It's like, well, if I go tell my agency owner that, they're going to say blah, blah, blah. And then all the other young people go, me too. My owner would say that, you know? And
oh yeah.
So,
for sure. Yeah, we've had the conversations of, dealing with our agency management system. Even though we have the exact same agency management system, he and I use them in completely different ways. And, we use Applied Epic. And I found out that he's not using the renewal manager like I am. And I found out that I'm not using opportunities, and that's the number one thing that I need to be doing as a producer. And so those are just kind of those connections that you make, and you can give each other those, that honest feedback on, your workflows and find out how to make it more efficient.
So well said. It's the associations are so valuable to our industry. They really, truly are. I think some states more than others. I think we have a separation of this PIA big I thing that to the younger group doesn't make any sense. And that's like an old thing because like there was these two groups and then they merged and then they split, and us under 50 really don't care, right? We just want to get better. We want somebody we want to share drinks. We want to share good times with other people. And the reason I say this, so I was the chairman of the National Young Agents in 05 to 2009.
Oh, nice.
And we won National Young Agent of the Year, Committee of the Year 3 years in a row. Back up. So anyway, I understand.
Bring it on.
I know. Here's the funny thing about this, Krista, is people out in the industry that aren't in the association, they don't realize, like, I tell them, like, we compete to get the best committee of the year, and this is like the World Series. Like, this is serious stuff.
It's intense. Yeah.
It's very intense. And there's different awards that you have to win, right? You could win for best membership or maybe best event or greatest InsurePack dollars or whatever it could be. But yeah, and then at the end of that, loyal listeners, for all you know, then all of those, if you won one of those awards, then there's a main award, which is the Young Agent Committee of the Year. And that is like cutthroat. I mean, we have to submit. Loyal listeners, Krista.
Yeah.
We have to submit, stacks and stacks and stacks of documents of things we did throughout the year. And then there is a committee in Washington that goes into a room, and they are not people who are associated. I've been in this room. They grab people who are like in the big I, like someone in the accounting department, and then they'll grab someone over there so they don't know any of these agents, and they just go through and they judge these things to come up with the Young Agent Committee. It is a very secretive thing because it is so freaking important who wins that award every year.
Yes, I'm definitely. We actually work together with Shania, Ryan, and I, and we work together to submit our applications for the national conference that's actually next week. So I'll be headed to Niagara Falls, New York. It's a destination. I'm actually letting my husband go this time.
Did you guys submit for the Young Agent Committee of the Year?
No, I think right now we're doing, it's like the community service portion. We're going after that. Yep. There's a few other items that we're going after that I'm excited about. And then this next year, I think we're going to try to figure out how to eventually win the InsurePack award. And see,
then you're going to the national committee. You're doing good because when they're looking at voting on that stuff, they're looking at what past awards did you win, right? And they're looking and basing it on that. Besides having a great year that year. That is really, people have no idea. So then after we won it 3 years in a row, they then asked me to become a national young agent because it was just, and that was probably the 2 funnest years of my entire insurance career because yes, I was selling, but like I was doing so much with young agents across. It's when I started the podcast.
Really?
I started the podcast. My last year with the Big I was in 2012 and I started a podcast in 2013 because the Big I sent me all across America to like talk. I was selling on Facebook at the time and all kinds of stuff. And so they sent me around. And then when my time was done, I was like, well, I've met all these people. I'm going to bring them on. And that's how we started the podcast that you and I sit at now.
Wow.
What is that? 9 years later. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, so I'm totally, well, and that's the reason why when I saw that you won that, when you won that award, I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of people that have no idea how big that is. Because a lot of times you can win an award just for doing nothing, right? It's like, yeah, we thought that she was great, so we just got her, and you don't really realize that, like, there's a lot of work that went involved. Someone had to nominate you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you had to do all the work.
Yep.
To let them know. Then you had to compete. And I was there in Oklahoma last year, and there's a bunch of studs and studettes that are young agents. So, I mean, you're obviously doing pretty good,
Yeah. Well, and, I think that this type of a process, it can also make you want to be better, because as I was going through there, I knew that our committee had done a lot for the community from an industry level, but at the time I was not involved as much in the local chamber. And so I've joined the Young Professional Chamber
look at you.
Since then. And I'm trying to further, network. And one thing that I am, wanting to really get into is the Craft Beer Association, and really
that
start.
Sounds like a good one.
That is a good group of guys, and it is, and ladies. There's actually a women's craft beer association as well, and it's really neat to find these individuals, because I work a lot of. Most of my production is in oil and gas. I have some trucking, but I'm usually dealing with these smaller contractors. And, they have, they're going to call you up, and they're going to give it to you straight. Like, it's not uncommon for them to be cussing on the phone with me, and I'll cuss right back with them, be like, no, I understand, and that connection that I make is, it's unlike any other. And this craft beer community in Oklahoma is growing. And I think that they're going to be that. I get that same feeling whenever I'm networking with them, is that it's a family. And you just tell it to, each other straight.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are always the best relationships. They really, truly are. So you do commercial insurance?
Yes, I do commercial insurance. Mm-hmm.
And you do personal lines. Your job day in and day out is commercial lines?
Commercial lines insurance. Whenever and briefly, I'll kind of step back real quick. I worked with this agency for 5 years almost, as an account manager.
You know what, Krista? Because you and I have been having such a great time. I didn't even start this show like it's supposed to be started and do my thing. You and I have been talking for 13 minutes.
Oh,
and
my God. I thought you did hit recording. It counted us down.
No. It's recording, but I didn't do what I normally do. And here's my thing. I need to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
And it's going to lead us to where you are talking about and giving us your history. Okay. First question is, you an iPhone or you a Droid user?
iPhone.
You're an iPhone user.
My husband's an Android.
Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. He's a smart guy. I love this guy already. I want to know him. So I'm a Droid user. What's the last app you downloaded?
Oh, that's a good question.
We want to know. We're nosy.
Oh, the Yahoo Sports app, because we're doing fantasy football. They're doing a league here in my office.
Krista, you're cool. You're just cool. That's it. All right. Now I see why you won the award. Did you just put that? That was your thing. Like, why should I be nominated, or why should I win the under 30 award? You were just like, I'm in fantasy football. And they're like, you are awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, fantasy football. I like craft beer. I'm a guy's gal. Like, I like to hang out with, and that's. Like, usually I'll find like the group of guys that's hanging out, and usually like there's the guys with like big burly beards, and I'm like, those are my people. What's up? No, my family's oil field based, and so that's honestly where I feel at home. And I have a dad and 2 brothers, so it was just,
Would you say they're oil field based? Is that what you said?
They were, yeah. They all worked in the oil field, and then my dad worked in trucking. as well.
Do you okay, so let's talk about your commercial. All right, see, I'm already getting on. So hold on. Let's you and I are having a great conversation. I keep jumping around.
Yeah.
Do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
I love to win.
You love to win for sure, huh?
Yes.
You came right out after that.
That. I while I was working briefly as an associate underwriter, that's whenever I realized it wasn't a good fit for me because I wanted the sell. I wanted the win. I wanted to be getting the business, and I got like so much energy off of getting a bind order in. That was my favorite thing.
Gotcha.
And still to this day, whenever I know that I've got it, it's, I'm chasing. I finally got it. Oh man, I can't. I've got the bug. I've got the sales bug.
I love it. All right. Before we get more into that, 2 things in life we think got you to where you are today at the agency. Intelligence is what we think. Luck or skill? Which would you say has been a bigger factor in your life?
Which one's a bigger factor?
In your life to getting to you to where you are today, luck or skill?
Skill.
For sure.
There is a little bit of luck there. There's actually quite a bit of luck because I ended up applying to an agency, knowing one of the agency owners, and applying to an agency that really they really love education and love educating their employees. And so that side was the luck, but the skill portion is what got me past being able to sit in a conference room and looking at a commercial auto policy page by page and being able to, pass the initial exam, continue on to my CISR, and then now I'm working on my CIC. And that through and through does take skill and willingness to learn.
Right. And then you can be in the right place at the right time and people can nominate you for your award. And sometimes that's just luck, being in the right place at the right time, Yeah. But here's the deal. You could have been there, but if you weren't ever there busting butt, no one would have nominated you. So it's that skill and it's the luck. I'm with you there. So here's what I want you to do. Take me back. You were born in Oklahoma. Take us to college, high school, whenever, and bring us forward to tell us how you got there.
Okay. So how I got to college was my band director went to Southwestern Oklahoma State University, and I was his drum major for 2 years. And so I was already kind of in a leadership position, and I thought that music is what I wanted to do.
And boom, 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 huh?
Yeah.
So you're a musician, huh?
Yes. At the last, the community service event that we did, I got to sing some karaoke. And so some people that were at that event got to witness that I take singing karaoke real seriously. They were wanting to pick my song, and I'm like, no. They're like, we'll give you $1,000 to go towards this thing. And I'm like, no, just give me the $1,000 and I'll just let me do it. Let me choose my song. But yeah, I went as a double major. I was, I'd never had any voice lessons. And then I was primary, in high school. I was in band. So I played flute. And so, I went to college, went into, to Southwestern Oklahoma State University, started out as a double major, wanted to do education. And then I started getting into music theory and a little bit more difficult classes. And I really figured out that wasn't for me. I didn't have the passion that everyone else had. And I knew something was up. And it just didn't make sense to continue on. And to me, anyways, others may say, you should have continued on, just, grit your teeth, get the degree, or change your major. But for those that have never encountered a music major, you take about 18 to 20 hours per semester. It is very intense. A lot of these being 1-hour classes. So you are either in a practice room, you are in a rehearsal, you are in a class, or you're eating. There's probably about 3 to 4 hours to sleep, if that. So it was just very intense. And for it to be that intense, for what felt like was a hobby, it was just really hard to justify. So that's where I kind of waddled my way through life for a little bit trying to figure out what am I supposed to do? How am I, who am I? Right. I tried to change to a business major, but again, the way that the music degree is structured is you take all your music classes first, your GEs last. I did not want to start over from square one, which is what I was going to have to do. And I was 3 years in. Wow. So I decided to go ahead and take a few summer classes until I figured out what I was doing. I was working at a hotel front desk at the time and I had worked every position. I was, and my main title was the front desk clerk and loyalty champion. And I loved getting prepared for a hotel inspection. Most people would think that that's the most boring thing in the world. Right. And
I love how you're listening to yourself. You know what I mean? Your self-awareness is so huge.
Well, I mean, it's just, I've always seen the passion of others around me and what they do. And whenever I look around and say, they don't like it or they do like it and I don't, it's just, I just didn't have the same factor that they did. And so
but people will instead of running from that though, Krista, they'll usually bury themselves in, right? It's like, let me dig myself in. I'm going to learn and be the best.
3 years,
right?
3 years before I was like, no, I'm beating my head against a brick wall. This is not working.
I'm not finding the joy like they are.
No, I'm not loving this. There is no joy in this. And I mean, I do enjoy singing, and honestly, I didn't sing or play flute for a while. Once I just got burned out pretty bad. But whenever I was working at the hotel, I had a little bit of passion there, but then it started to fall flat. There was nothing else to learn. And I was complaining to an agency owner that I was actually 2 doors down from. I rented from him. And,
Gotcha.
My husband at the time was looking for a ring. He was my boyfriend at the time. Now my husband. Sorry. But he was going to look for a ring, and he had me go in and get sized. And the jeweler, that she was the wife of this agency owner. And I had asked her, I'm like, hey,
get out of here.
I saw Berrong Insurance was looking for someone to hire, like a data entry reception. What is that? She's like, oh, you really need to talk to Michael. And I'm like, what is it? Like, I don't want him to get too interested. I don't want to fully commit. I just want to know, what is this? And she was like, no, I really think you should talk to him. He chased me for a little bit. He was like, get your resume in. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking about it. He's like, no, print out your resume, take it into the front, and you'll get an interview. I promise you. I'm like, okay, fine. Finally do it. That's how I ended up at the agency, and I was a data entry and reception position. And I was terrified. I had no idea. I knew nothing about insurance at all. My dad still took care of my insurance.
This still insurance, or this is the agency you started at?
This is the agency yes. Okay. And so I briefly left for about 8 months. There. And so I came back as a different position, but we'll get to that. And so, yeah, I worked as a receptionist for maybe a couple of months, and one of the account managers announced that she was pregnant, and they were looking to promote within. So they're like, all right, Krista, get licensed, figure it out. We're expecting great things from you. So, yeah.
Yeah,
they threw me. I felt like I got thrown in. I was freaked out.
That's the only way you can do insurance.
That is the only way.
No way. It really is. There's education you can learn, but it's just get in there and start doing it is the only way.
Well, it's trial by fire for sure. Sink or swim, whatever analogy you want to put to it. That's what it is. But yeah, I worked as an account manager, and that actually ended up. I think I was there in that position. Like I said, I can't remember if it was 4 years or 5 years, somewhere in there. I took a brief break. Thought maybe an underwriting assistant position would fit for me, and it wasn't as sales oriented maybe as I had thought. And I noticed a in-house producer role became available at Berrong Insurance, and so I kept things completely like on good terms. I was still in contact with a couple of the owners whenever I left, just keeping up, hey, how's life? How are things going? One of them had just had a baby. So hearing his journey and getting to become a father was very interesting to me, because he is he can sometimes be, which of course, if he finally, listens to this podcast, but sometimes he can just be a little bit like rigid, can seem like that. And I know he's not. Like, he's very, he can be a very fun individual. And so seeing that individual of like, all right, let's see you enjoy parenthood, because he likes everything in working order. And it's like, your life is just
getting ready to be tornado.
It's a tornado. It's where's the burp rag? And so,
So how long have you been in your position now?
For a year.
For a year.
I've only been a producer for a year.
What are your, you've been selling since you've been in insurance. Now officially, hey, you sell or you don't eat. See, that's the difference now.
Yeah.
So what did you guys do? Do you have it? Are you a generalist? Do you have niches? What do you have?
So I do have niches. That's the oil and gas and trucking side. However, I am trying to diversify and find a little bit of a different niche. I really enjoy and my niche is basically small business. And so Berrong Insurance, they were handling a lot of, larger accounts, and they were trying to handle all these small accounts, these one-man contractors, and they just didn't have quite the same capacity to service them. So they created my division so that we specialize in that, but they don't limit me to that. So
gotcha.
If I get a big account out of a small account, or one of my small accounts grow into a big account,
you get that cheese.
I get it. Yeah,
that's right.
So that's actually what that bottle is right there. Is my first big account. I got a craft beer. And so,
well, good for you. And so let me ask you, what did that big account look like? What was it? What type of risk was it?
So it was an oil and gas risk. The contractor, I had taken care of her brother for many, many years, since 2018, since 2018. And he referred her to me because her and her husband were starting a roustabout service. And he said, she's always taking really good care of me. He's always been one I've had to kind of chase down a little bit and wrestle him around to try to get him to.
We all got them.
Oh, yeah. He's one of them, still is. And so I'll text him and bug him now. But he referred his sister to me, and my average premium account was typically around 5 to 10 in premium, 5 to 10,000. This account started at 60,000. And we are now at almost 100,000.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
And they're just growing leaps and bounds then.
Yes. Yeah. She's adding on trucks every single day. So my account manager is definitely staying busy with her.
Look at you. Look at you. Yeah. I'm excited for you on that. That is fantastic. What do you think was your reason why you got it? Oh, never mind. You told me it was referred to you because I'm sorry. Duh. That's obvious there. You said you've had it for 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had it for 1 year.
And just curious, what did you say they did?
A roustabout.
What is that? I have no idea what the hell that would be.
So in the oil field, they have a lot of different, and they also do some pipeline work as well. Okay. But in the oil field, you'll have like your typical hands, but a roustabout is going to be, they could be anything. And that's why you really have to get into what they do. Some of them will do some excavation, some on site. They really could do anything out there.
And it's called a roustabout?
A roustabout.
Roustabout. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I've heard about that before. I've never heard that word. So that's why I was curious about that.
Yeah. Cool. And so, they are going to do some pipeline, but they haven't fully launched that portion of it. But really they help with, they have these really nice trucks set up to help service, whether it's fixing stuff that's on site, and it's not necessarily a hot shot, because the hot shot's the one that takes the parts to them, but they're the ones that actually fit.
This is a whole industry.
Yeah, it's a whole industry.
You're talking about, that's not a hot shot. I guarantee you 99% of the people listening to this are like, what the hell's a hot shot? You know,
Yeah.
but that's how it is. That's industry term. Good for you to know all that, though.
So, have you seen, an oil rig, like the big rig?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on the big rig, there's a platform. Okay. There's a guy that has to stand on that platform that's way up in the sky. Like, and whether it's windy or not, they get to hang on. That was my brother.
They get to hang on.
They just get to hang on. They just get to hang out there. I don't know what he does officially.
So
but
they have to go to the top. Like
he goes to the
big
top.
Thing I'm picturing. There's a platform up there. He has to go to the top and just do what there?
I'm not entirely sure what he was doing. I just know that was his position to stand up there. And he was talking about I don't know if it's stuff that, where he's working on the rig up there, if he's adjusting things, but he is a thrill. Yeah, he's a thrill seeker. And obviously, obviously. So it's kind of like the same ones that like to, climb up the inside of the windmills. Have you seen those?
Yes, I have seen those.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, they
make my hands sweat whenever I'm watching them. Like they make my hands sweat.
Yes.
Or the people who like climb the towers in freaking Hong Kong and stuff. And it's just unbelievable. These people are nuts. They're just nuts.
Side note, and I don't know if I'm sure that people will be able to Google it after this, but seriously, Google it. There was a guy that climbed our tallest building in Oklahoma City. Devon Tower. Wow. He was just
probably nothing. He just climbed it.
He just climbed it. No harnesses, nothing. Climbed it.
People are nuts.
I remember he was protesting something. I don't remember what it was, but he was protesting, and he climbed up the Devon Tower. Wow. It looked like he had like climber shoes on, like.
Well, yeah, I imagine so. Flip-flops don't do well.
No, but
that's right.
Yeah, had he fallen, he definitely would have been a pancake.
So you said you were looking for some other niches. What are you looking at? What are you thinking about? How are you trying to discover it?
That kind of goes back to the community involvement. And so that's kind of where I'm trying to find that niche and, getting involved in the Craft Beer Association. Once I write them all, then it's going to be a now what sort of situation. So, I haven't, I've thought about like writing some financial institutions, places like that. I really enjoy seeing a Main Street type business. Whether it's a big business or a small business, I really love being able to walk in and be like, this is my insured. One of the most moving moments for me was I had an insured that was, she was a bar owner. And we had been working on these renovations, for almost a year. And I kept, asking her, hey, how are things going? Just kept touching base with her. Are you opening anytime soon? Well, finally she opened not too long ago. I would say a couple weeks ago. And seeing that place completely renovated, because she told me it was an upscale bar and lounge. It did not look upscale. It was in a very sketchy part of town that they were trying to, revamp. And it had bars, and it was ran down, like bars on the windows. It was ran down. The door had bars on it. It looks scary. So and then I see the inspection pictures, and I'm like, I have no idea how this lady is going to turn this place into an upscale lounge. And she did. Right. And seeing that moment and seeing her dream and everyone else's dream.
That got you, huh?
Come to fruition. Yeah, I definitely teared up a lot. And it's so far she's had a lot of success with it. So I'm proud of her. She had a lot of moments that she was having breakdowns, having to deal with the permits and
I can only imagine.
You name it, but she completely regutted that place, and you would not believe it's the same building.
Well, I wish you nothing but success, Krista. I mean, wrapping up and stuff like that, is there anything you would like to say to any of the loyal listeners, anybody listening? Did we forget something? Did we not talk about something? Please bring it back out. I usually keep these around 20 to 25 minutes, and we've been going longer than that because you've had me cracking up laughing so many times. Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I I definitely want to speak to, especially those, you're in your first couple of years in this industry. You can lead from any position. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Ask the questions, and odds are you're not going to get shut down. Somebody ask the questions and somebody will answer. And that will show your passion and your ambition for your company.
Well, very well said. That's actually going to be the name of the podcast. You can lead from any position. I'm serious. That's great. And it's the truth. As the leader of my organization, I want my team to understand that. That's very, very important. We talk about that a lot. Thank you very much for that. Very young at heart, but wise in the mind. So, Krista, you've been fantastic. I guarantee you. Let me ask you this. Is your husband a quiet guy?
Yeah.
Quiet person? I figured so.
He's an introvert and I'm an extrovert.
I figured so. That's why I asked that question. So anyways, hey, Krista, has been fantastic. Get me back down to Oklahoma. I hope I come down and see you guys again, especially when you're having your party. Make sure you invite me, and I'll be there. And good to talk with you. It's nice to meet you.
It was great to meet you.
You too, Krista. I appreciate it. To all you loyal listeners out there, you know why I do what I do, because I do it for you. Tell me your thoughts and tell me your ideas, and I'm going to tell the world what you have to say. This has been Cass. She's Kautz. We're out.